We worked on gentle exercises at the beginning, helping you to connect your voices. It'd be breaks in the voice, but with consistency and the right kind of exercises, you really did get that connection back on your voice. You were able to sing again. We did some really nice songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, you don't know this, but you're still my vocal coach. Because I would film all of our classes together, and I still, till this day, I still do the exercises.
Oh, that's so good. Hey, my name is Lisa Hugo, and I'm obsessed with helping other people find and develop their voices so they can go out and take on the world, be seen as an authority, expert, and speak their truth with utmost confidence because they know that what they have to share will connect with their audience and make a difference. I studied performing arts and spent 20 years of my career traveling the world as a professional singer-songwriter. I teach you the secrets to speak up and be heard, overcome your fears, to build your speaking skills, and learn how you can use your skills to make a change both in your own life and the lives of others. This is your one-stop shop for all things confident speaking. This is Impact Through Voice. Welcome back to another episode of Impact Through Voice. I'm your host, Lisa Hugo, and today I'm joined in the studio by none other than the latest, newest addition to the Real Housewives of Dubai.
Hey.
She's not just a reality TV show, but she's also a singer, she's a songwriter, and she's a fitness guru, and she's a mum.
Yeah.
Welcome to the podcast,
Lisa,
Taleen Marie.
thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It's also good to see you because I haven't seen you in ages.
It's been years.
I know.
Yes.
It's been a while. I'm very happy to be here.
And I'm thrilled to have you on the show. Thank you so much for taking the time. Let's just give a little bit of a backstory as to how we met, which was many, many years ago. But you came to me for singing coaching. You were having some trouble with your voice.
Yes.
And that's how we first started to get to know each other. And we worked together for, I think, quite a few years.
We did. So, I had moved from Los Angeles to Dubai, and in Los Angeles, there's a vocal coach on every corner, right? But when I came to Dubai, I was like, it's not really the music industry mecca, right? But I found you pretty quick. I think I found you just like on the internet. And I was like, I hope this woman's good. I mean, there's a lot of testimonials, but you just never know in Dubai. And I was having some serious vocal problems. So, not only did I want a vocal coach, but I wanted a coach that knew what they were doing and specialized kind of in everything. So I remember giving you a call, and you were so sweet and so warm. And as soon as I met you, it was just such a perfect fit. And I was so grateful because you came from a very just loving place, and you knew it was going to be a long process. You were very patient because with what I was dealing with, it's frustrating, right?
We'll tap into that maybe a bit later on in the conversation.
Yeah.
But I want to, first of all, just talk a little bit about what you're doing now. Because, that's really exciting. You are the latest addition to the Real Housewives of Dubai. So it must be an incredible journey for you. Tell us a bit about this.
It's crazy. So they already had the first season, and I am in the second season. I'm the newest one. I replaced one of the housewives by the name of Nina Ali, and we just wrapped up filming a few months ago. It was a ride, to say the least, for sure. I had never done reality TV before. Obviously, I've been in the entertainment industry, but reality TV is very different. But I'm excited. Like I really put it all out there. My kids, my husband. Every emotion you can think of under the sun, it's all out there. So it's very vulnerable, but I'm hoping that it can connect with a lot of people. And I had a great time doing it. Awesome. There was a lot of tequila involved, so that's also a plus.
Do we know when that is going to be released?
So the trailer, they're saying, is dropping in about a month or two, and then probably May, June is when it's released.
Oh, so we've got a little bit of a wait.
We do. Yeah. Trust me. It's killing me. It's killing me. I'm just like, I almost want to rip it off like a Band-Aid, get it over with.
Exactly. I was looking for it and I couldn't find it anywhere. I said, Taleen, where can I find it? Well, it's not out yet.
But I promise you, it is worth the wait. It is an incredible season. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very exciting.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I want to know a little bit about that decision to go on a show like
Yeah.
that. It can't have been easier. I
No.
mean, it takes courage. It takes, a
Yeah.
lot of thought, I think, behind what you're doing. And
Yeah.
you're involving not just yourself, you
Yeah.
involved your entire family. Tell
For
us a bit
sure.
about
I
that.
mean, it was definitely not an overnight decision. I remember one of my friends on the first season, she put me forward for the second. I went through like an extensive audition process with different, casting and producers. But all, in the back of my mind, I was like, I don't know. Are they going to pick me? Like, I kind of had like 1 foot in, 1 foot out because as you're saying, it is a big decision. I'm not just putting myself out there. My husband and I, we really had to think about this. I mean, sometimes, we'd film for 8 hours a day at the house. And, I have young children and it's not like I can really explain to them what's going on. They don't fully understand it. And at one point we were like, well, maybe we just go on the show and we don't put our kids. But, being a mother is such an important part of my life and I wanted to show that part of it. But, I think what kind of pushed me in doing it is I went with a purpose. And I think if you go into reality TV with a larger picture and a bigger purpose of why you're doing it, not just for the 15 minutes of fame, that can kind of make the decision a little bit easier. And that's what I did. But we didn't want to hold back. I mean, I was unapologetically myself. For better or for worse, we'll see what happens. But it definitely it wasn't an easy decision for sure.
So tell us a little bit more about that purpose, what your purpose is or how you see your role on the show as making a difference for other people.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at this as a major platform, right? I mean, a lot of people watch the show, a lot of women watch the show, and my message has always been empowering women. Particularly after having children. I went through a very tough journey to even getting pregnant. I had 3 miscarriages. Then after my first child, I had debilitating postpartum depression and anxiety. It was a lot. And I wanted to share that story with women, especially in the Middle East, because I feel like that's not really talked about. It's a little taboo. A baby, it's supposed to be the happiest moment of your life, and it's the greatest time, and it is. Obviously, it's such a blessing, but what women go through, the ups and downs, and the hormones and everything you deal with, not a lot of people talk about that side of it.
It's so true.
And for me, what got me out of that and what saved me was my fitness. And I wanted to share that with people that, you can get through it. Also getting help through therapy and the support around you. But I think the worst thing to do is to keep it in, right? And to not talk about it because it gets worse and worse. And the main reason I went on was because I really wanted to share my story and say that it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. And everybody has a different journey. Everybody has a different experience going through it. And I wanted to connect with women in that way. And even though the show hasn't come out yet, I've had so many women just come up to me and just say, wow, thank you. This is how I'm feeling, but I'm so scared to talk about it. I feel shame for talking about it. We're women. This is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to have children. We're supposed to be this loving wife, and this is our role. And so, it's important to show the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah. And as a mother myself, now with teenage girls, you've got that ahead of you. Good luck.
Thanks.
but I know exactly where you're coming from,
Yeah.
and I know what it feels like where you've got this expectation
Yes.
that, wow, I've got children. I'm so blessed. And,
Yeah,
but it's
right.
not always an easy ride. And I
No.
tell you, it can be very, very tough.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really get easy.
I know. No, I know.
It gets different.
It gets different.
Yeah.
I'm sure every age comes with its own issues, but I can honestly say I'm at a place now where I'm accepting of the anxiety and the fear and the happiness and the positive moments. You have to be accepting of all of it, I think, because if you fight that fear, if you fight that anxiety, if you try to brush it off and say, no, 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 if I have anxiety, it means I'm not a good mom. No, that's not true. We are humans and we're supposed to feel every emotion. And if you fight that, I think that's what makes it worse. So you just have to accept it all.
Yeah, so amazing then that you're using the platform then to
100%.
help to open up discussions about this. That's great.
I don't think I would have done the show if it was just me partying and not having a message to share, you know?
Yeah. You are obviously a natural born performer. I think it comes from you. I want to take us back now.
Yeah.
Let's go right back, to the early years. When did you first discover that you had a voice and you had a passion for performing?
Lisa, honestly, before I was talking, I was singing. And my mom tells
too.
me that. Yeah. And I truly believe some people are just born with that. Yeah. I think when I started to actually take it seriously, and my mom had a lot to do with that because she was like, okay, she doesn't want to go outside and play with the other kids. She wants to just stay inside and
grab
sing.
the hairbrush.
Yeah, oh my God, the hairbrush, the spoon, anything, right? You know, do my best Whitney Houston's. And she realized that was really a passion of mine. And I think that started around the age of 6. And that's actually when I started taking vocal lessons. I had a coach in the States, and obviously, 6 is a very tender age to start singing, and you have to be careful with that because the voice is still developing. But we started slow. And then at the age of 9, that's when I professionally started singing at the opera. I started with opera. So I sang at the Kennedy Center. I did 6 operas, one with 2 actually with Placido Domingo. And then I started doing, national anthems. I was the girl that sang, at the big stadiums, the basketball games.
Oh, say.
And yeah, all that. Oh, say, all that. And I loved it. I mean, it was most of my childhood was performing and singing. And even though I was taking lessons and I had a good classical background, and I think I always tell people it's good to have a classical background in anything you do, even in dance. It's good to start with ballet. It's a good foundation to have. You're still learning the voice, right? It's still, I don't think I had mastered it completely. So of course I would sometimes lose my voice, or my technique wasn't always perfect, right? You're young. And we were doing, 8 shows a week. Every day.
Wow.
Yeah, sometimes 2 a day, matinees and then evening shows. So it was for 3-4 months straight. But that's how I started. And then at age 16, I moved to Los Angeles. I kind of migrated more to like the pop R&B because I'd always loved growing up listening up to soul music.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah, right outside of Washington, D.C.
Okay.
And then 16, I moved to Los Angeles. That's when I got my publishing deal with Jamie Foxx, which was incredible because it opened up, so many doors to work with incredible producers like Tricky Stewart, Dream, just incredible songwriters. I got to work with American Idol, write songs for them, open up for Christina Aguilera.
Wow.
So it was, that actually happened in Abu Dhabi when she was here. I was 18, and I think it was something like massive. It was like 30,000 people. It was a massive crowd.
And was this your own original music?
Yeah, it was mixed. It was mixed. I had done some covers, but I was promoting my album that I was trying to push. And
Wow.
It was a lot of performing, a lot of singing. It does feel like a lifetime ago.
And the fact that you say you started with opera. Now, if we hear your voice now, we don't hear that, what we would expect to be an operatic voice, which would normally be that higher
right.
sound.
I still got a little bit of opera in the shower. It might not be good, but I still try. But yes, it's definitely, my tone for sure changed over the years. I think age has a lot to do with that. And my passion was always that soul R&B type of music.
So you transitioned into the soul throughout as you went into your teens,
Exactly.
I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah. Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when you came across to Dubai, you had some problems with your voice. Tell us a bit about that.
Well, even towards the end of me living in Los Angeles, I couldn't get through one song without, my voice giving out. And I'm like, this is not normal, And I think also a lot of that had to do with being in recording studios. People don't realize, but yes, performing on stage or whatever at shows, that can give your voice out. But when you're in a recording studio and you have to sing a line 30 times, let's say, and it's a belting. I mean, my voice. I like to belt, and I do have that powerful sound.
Amazing voice, by the way.
Thank you.
After find some of the music.
After a while, the voice can give out. And I came here, and I remember you put me in touch with a great ENT, and I found out that I had nodules, which is probably the worst thing for an artist, a singer, to hear. And I remember showing you the X-ray or the pictures, and I mean, it was serious. It was serious. And I realized that it had happened over the years, and then this is why I couldn't sing like I could before. I couldn't get through one song. You remember, it was challenging, and it was very depressing because my identity was so tied to my voice and to my music and to my singing. So when that was stripped, it's just, you're kind of like, okay, now what? Like this is all I've known since the age of 6. And now you're telling me that I have nodules and that I might have to go through surgery and I'll never sound the same. And it's depressing.
Did you also find that it's almost like embarrassing because as a singer, you're supposed to have that strong voice. You're supposed to have a good technique.
Yes.
And when something like this happens, you think, well, what have I done wrong?
What have I done?
Or
Totally.
what are other people thinking about what I've done wrong? At least that's how I felt, because I had nodules as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever told you that.
I think you had mentioned it,
yeah,
I think.
I never got to the point. There were soft nodules, and they were quite easy to repair with rest and then refocus on technique. I mean, that's what it's all about.
That is what it's about.
Is refocusing on your technique. But if you get them to a stage where they're gone too far, it's very difficult to come back from that. Yeah.
And I think I was at that stage where it was pretty serious.
Yeah.
And I was talking, I was thinking surgery, but I didn't tell anybody that I had it. I didn't even tell my family. You were the only person.
Wow.
And now everyone who's listening, surprise, that I was never vocal about it. But again, I think being vulnerable and open about something like that, it can help people, and it's not the end of the world.
But see, because of that, you weren't prepared to let people know, especially if you're in the recording studio, you're struggling with your voice, and they don't understand. So you're keeping on pushing. They're keeping on pushing you.
Exactly.
And it's only exaggerating the problem, accelerating the problem.
And it's a bit of denial, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't want to fully accept it, because you do feel like you feel a bit like a failure, but it's so much more common than we think. And I have to say, working with you helped me immensely. And I remember I went back to Beverly Hills and I took a picture, and they had reduced. I don't know if you remember that.
I do remember
but they had dramatically reduced.
Yes.
And I'm like, wow, the power of technique and rest and, breathing the right way and all that. I mean, it really, really helped. Will it ever go away fully? No. But it kind of adds a little bit more rasp to the voice.
That sexiness to the voice.
Yeah, a little bit of sexiness, right?
Okay. I want to stay on this topic just for a little bit longer because I want to know or help our listeners to understand, what does it feel like when you start to feel like you've got a vocal problem? You might be ignoring it, and I don't want people to ignore it when it first starts to emerge.
Yeah.
So what kind of symptoms, other than you said I couldn't sing through those songs?
Yeah.
Things like waking up in the morning and feeling like your voice took ages to warm up.
Yeah. I was definitely a lot more hoarse without having done anything the night before. I would just wake up and I'm like, whoa, like my voice feels a lot scratchier, not so much pain, but just the tone was very different.
Yep.
And of course, a lot of people wake up in the morning and they just need to get talking.
Get the cobwebs off the voice.
Yeah, get the cobwebs, get a cup of coffee, but this was different. than that. That for me was the first sign. And then obviously just not having the ability and the strength and the stamina to sometimes get through like 3 or 4 lines of a song. Whereas before it would be, a no-brainer. It was so effortless. That I think was the biggest red flag for me.
So I just want to put this out there for anybody who's listening to this and you feel any of these symptoms, you feel your voice isn't right, go get it checked out. Don't wait till it's too late.
Do not wait. The longer you wait, the worse it is. And the longer you try to sing through it, the worse it gets.
Yeah. So we worked on gentle exercises at the beginning, helping you to connect your voices. It'd be breaks in the voice. But, but with consistency and the right kind of exercises, you really did get that connection back on your voice. You were able to sing again. We did some really nice songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, you don't know this, but you're still my vocal coach. Because I would film all of our classes together, and I still, till this day, I still do the exercises.
Oh, that's so good. And today we released a podcast which is all about vocal exercises. So go back to episode 8 of the podcast, and you can hear some of the exercises that I do with my clients.
Good. Yeah, I do all of them. I love them.
Okay, how did you transition to fitness?
Yeah. So fitness has always also been a huge part of my life. With music as well, I felt like the fitness, you need that stamina when you're performing on stage and you're touring, which I did all that. The fitness really helped me with that. So that was always a massive part of my life. I studied nutrition. I got my personal training license. So once I moved to Dubai 10 years ago, I felt like there was a huge space for that, particularly with women. Now I feel like there's a lot more of that, which is great. But when I first came, I was like, wow, I'm getting a lot of people coming up to me like at the gym, and they would just be like, what are you doing? Like, how do we look like, how do we get fit? And I would give my advice, and I'm like, you know what? Like, I need to make this a business. And I didn't just love the physical part of it. I loved the mental part of it because it is so mental, right? I mean, some of these women, these clients that I had, they would just open up to me. And so it was almost like life coaching a little bit, even though I'm not like a trained therapist or anything by any means. And they had to sign a liability form. So I protected myself at every angle. But it was, again, it was about the message that I keep going to, which is empowering women. So I started running these female boot camps, these outdoor boot camps. And after I had my first daughter, I wanted to go more into the postpartum fitness, because for me, fitness is what saved my life and changed my life when I was going through, a lot of the mental issues that I was dealing with. So I wanted to share that, and it has helped so many women out here.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear, because
thank you.
I know personally when you're going through this, and the fitness really does help. Yeah. Even for me, I'll be working at my desk during the day, and then I'll take a break. I go to the gym, and I'll come back with a whole new energy.
Yeah.
And
how much better do you feel?
Perspective on myself as well, and confidence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, scientifically, it also obviously has a chemical effect on your brain. It changes the brain, exercise, over time. And the more you do it, the more consistent you do it, the better you feel. So, if I can spread that to people and work with women one-on-one, which is what I love doing, it's part of my message and why I'm on this earth. Not just music, but you really can do it all.
How do you, keep yourself so trim and terrific? Aside from the fitness, obviously the fitness, but there's got to be more to it as well.
Yeah,
nutrition,
look, you can work out for forever and eat like crap, and you won't see a difference. So the first thing I tell anybody, it's what you put in your body, right? You have to be conscious of that. And Dubai is tough because you're always eating out, there's alcohol, there's the best restaurant popping up. So it is challenging, but I try to 80% of the time eat clean, high protein, low carb. Get your steps in, even if you can't go to the gym, at least, just get up and walk around, instead of taking the escalator, just take the stairs, little things like that. It really makes a difference. Also, running around after a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, I'm always on my feet. But I think if you have a balanced diet, strength training is very important, not just cardio, but lifting weights. It's, I mean, for me, that formula has worked big time.
Yeah, and we see it.
Thank you.
But I think also some people have it easier than others. And
I think so too,
as
for
we
sure.
age, obviously, it changes.
Yeah.
I don't want that's a whole nother topic. We're not going to get into that today.
I know, my God, yeah. That's a whole other hour there,
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's cross across to motherhood now.
Yeah.
So we're taking you on the journey.
I know.
So I do remember at the time that I was working with you, you had some really tough moments where you'd have miscarriages. And I remember it was a real emotional roller coaster for you at that time.
Yeah.
You got through that. Share a little bit about, as much as you want to share, about that journey, and then having your first daughter. How did that feel? And the struggles that you still went through that.
Yeah. So, my husband and I, we got pregnant, and we. The men do nothing, but we're a we.
Well, they're part of it.
Small part, but they're a part of it, right? It's a quick one, but not too quick. Sorry. So he's gonna kill me. No, so I got pregnant, right, with the help of him, and we were over the moon. It wasn't even planned, but at that point we had been married for about 4 years, so we felt like it was time. And then pretty early on, I had my first miscarriage, and it's a lot more common than a lot of people think. It happens a lot. And there was really no reason for it, right? It just didn't work out, right? And the body is an incredible machine where it will dispel something that
wasn't meant to be. And maybe
right?
that's a good thing.
And that is, for us, that was, it was
you
a
don't know
good
why,
thing.
but
exactly.
there's a reason.
There's a reason. And we accepted that. Of course, it wasn't easy, but, we moved on. Second time I get pregnant, I think about 6 or 7 months later, and I'm like, okay, I had my miscarriage. This is it, right? This is going to be the one. I'm in a movie theater, okay, and I start miscarrying. And by the way, till now, like movie theaters are triggering for me, right? It was very traumatic because I associated that with that, and I'm like, oh no, not again, right? And everything was going so well, I just couldn't understand what was happening. So another miscarriage. And, with a miscarriage, it's not just a physical thing. Your hormones also, it plays a huge role because you have the pregnancy hormone and then all of a sudden you're not. And so it's like, it just completely messes with you. But my husband was so supportive. And I think that makes a huge difference when you're faced with something like that with your marriage. You guys have to be on the same page. He never blamed me. It was never like that. And I went to the doctor and I said, is there a vitamin that am I deficient of something? Is my husband deficient of something? He's like, no. He's like, it's just not meant to be. Relax, right? I'm like, okay. So we relax, not really thinking about it. I get pregnant again, right? Third time's a charm. I'm like, this has gotta be the one, right? Another miscarriage.
Wow.
And at this point, it's just, I'm like, maybe this is just not meant to be. Like, maybe I'm not supposed to be a mother. Maybe I'm not capable of being a mother. Your mind just goes everywhere,
crazy,
right? And of course, everyone around me is having babies, having kids, and you're happy for them, but it's only natural to think, okay, why not me, And it comes with so much shame and loneliness, and you just feel like, as a woman, like this is what our bodies are supposed to do. And why can't I do it? Right. I've been fit all my life. I'm eating the right things. I'm
just
just
start
not
to blame yourself.
Yeah.
And then people come and ask you, oh, you're going to have kids.
Oh, exactly. That's the worst. Totally. Like, come on, you've been married for 5 years. It's time. Like, people, first of all, should not ask that.
Exactly.
I hate that.
Yeah.
Like, just
so wrong.
Park
you don't
it.
know what's going on.
You don't know what's going on. Park it. So anyway, it was awful. I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to go anywhere. The third one for me really was the last straw.
And I think that when you stress about it, I'm no expert on this, but your body then also,
It's worse.
Yeah, exactly. It's tense and it
Exactly.
becomes more difficult.
But it's like, how do you not stress, Because, and my doctor would tell me, don't stress. It's like, yeah, but I would get pregnant and then I would be so scared of losing the pregnancy that of course I would have stress. But again, we got through it as women do. We are strong and we have to. And, I remember, so the fourth time we ended up going on vacation, actually went to Armenia, my motherland, and wasn't even trying, just totally let go. Really, at this point, didn't even care. I was like, you know what? If I'm going to have a kid, I'm going to have a kid. If not, that's okay. I accepted it.
Right.
And then shortly after I got pregnant and it went through.
Wow.
Yeah. 9 months later, I had my first daughter, Gabriella. We call her Gigi. And at 34 weeks, I go in for my doctor's appointment and he looks at me and he goes, we need to do an emergency C-section right now. And I'm like, huh? I'm like, what's going on? Not again, And now it's 34 weeks. And so the umbilical cord was wrapped around her neck 4 times.
Wow.
3 or 4 times. And it is common for
scary.
one time, but apparently I had like the world's longest, Guinness Book of Record umbilical cord. Who knew? And she's so active that I guess it got wrapped around. So they had to get her out immediately. And I think that obviously didn't help the anxiety of what I went through thereafter. But we had her, and luckily she was perfect, healthy. She wasn't even in incubation or anything. But I wasn't okay. I felt a bond with her. Some women don't feel a bond, but I didn't feel happiness. I didn't feel this joy. I didn't feel anything like that. I felt fear and so much anxiety, like, oh my God, I have this life now in front of me. My milk wasn't coming in. That was another thing.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, you got to breastfeed, but you're stressed about it. And from the surgery, which is also a huge surgery,
timing
right?
wasn't there. You weren't prepared.
At all, right? It's never like the movies too, right? Ever. And so I kept very quiet, but for, I would say 6 months, it was very difficult for me to get out of bed, but I couldn't sleep. I had major insomnia. When they say sleep when the baby sleeps, I don't know who came up with that. Okay, that never happens. And I was just debilitated and it wasn't so much depression. It was more just this debilitating anxiety because this new life has come into the world, and it was such a buildup to get to that point.
Yeah.
And I think because my expectations, what I was expecting was so different from what happened and what I was feeling, that part also gave me anxiety, right? I was questioning, why am I not feeling this joy that I thought that I was going to be feeling for 9 months?
Yep. Yeah.
So, through fitness and through getting help, which I think is so important, and the support of my family, I got out of that dark hole. It felt like a dark hole. And
good you had a support network to help you through it.
Really. A lot of people don't have that. And I think
especially
that's so
as expats.
important.
That's a big thing,
As
right?
expats,
Your parents are not here. The grandparents, your aunts, your uncles. You're on your own.
My mom was on the first plane out here, and she had postpartum actually with her first pregnancy, so she knew the signs of it. And I couldn't have done it without her, without my husband. I mean, that family is so important, and getting help. And there's no shame in that. No shame in that. And again, the more you keep it in, the worse it's going to get.
So coming back to the show.
Yeah.
Do you reveal some of this on the show? Are you using this as your platform, as we talked about, to inform people and share and say it's okay?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I obviously can't say too much about the show, but you'll definitely hear my story, and I hope that it helps women all over, especially out here too, as you said, expats and Middle Eastern women and people who feel that it's such a taboo to talk about. I want to give people that voice to talk about it.
you're using your voice to make
Yeah.
a difference.
Yeah.
What would you say to people who struggle to use their voice? They're lacking confidence.
Yeah.
They don't think they sound good. I hate the sound of my voice.
Yeah.
And they just don't allow what they have,
Yeah.
which is probably amazing ideas and
Yeah.
knowledge.
Yeah.
And they don't let it be heard because of these insecurities and fears.
Yeah, I mean, look, fear, it's the number one thing that just gets all of us. And we all have that voice. We all have that inner voice, that shadow
Holds us back.
that holds us back, that will take a negative experience that you went through and think that that's going to happen again, right? That narrative always wants to take over the positive one.
Yep.
It always does, right? That's human nature. I think it takes time. You have to train that voice in your head to not take over. You have to train that negative voice to not be the forefront of your brain, to be in the back. And at the end of the day, as you said, it comes down to confidence, because there are some people that have no idea what the hell they're talking about. But when they walk in and they have that presence and that confidence, people believe what they're saying.
Yeah.
And confidence will triumph any of that. But again, I think it's a process. I think it takes time. It takes baby steps. I would say with public speaking, and you're more of an expert than me, of course, but even doing the show, it's start slow, start with a room of 2 people or 3 people, or even in the mirror, just speak to yourself.
Or on camera.
And listen back to it. And it's gaining that confidence, but it is a slow process. I mean, I had debilitating stage fright in my 20s. I never expected that I would go.
I would have never expected.
Right. You remember, so it takes time. It takes a lot of time and patience and going easy on yourself.
And consistency.
Yes.
If you keep holding yourself back because of your fear, you will never conquer it.
No.
We have to face our fears.
We have to. And I can't tell you how many awful shows I've done in the States. I mean, I bombed in front of L.A. Reid in his office, okay? Bombed. I literally thought I was never going to recover from it. And it was producers wanting me to sing a song that I didn't want to sing. I'm in an office, just me, L.A. Reid. I mean, he's one of the biggest men in the music industry, okay? He is the industry. And there were 2 other producers there. I can't, that moment still replays.
What did you feel? You must have been nervous. You must have.
I was nervous, but it was also such an awkward setup because I was in his office and the producer was like, yeah, you should do like some dance moves. Like, it's so cringe. It literally lives rent free in my brain. So it was also very awkward. I think had I been on a stage, maybe it would have been better. So the setup was awkward. My mouth started getting dry. I'm singing, but I might as well, like, I'm just not even thinking. Like, the anxiety has taken over, right? Because I see his face. He's just not giving me anything. I know I'm bombing. He knows I'm bombing. Everyone, the secretary outside knows I'm bombing. It was the worst. And I remember just running out of there, and I started, and of course he was very sweet. He was like, okay, we'll call you. Never come here again. And it didn't matter all the amazing performances that I had. It didn't matter that Christina Aguilera came up to me and was like, wow, that was amazing. I forgot about all of that. All I could think of was that moment. And I remember running out of there. It was in the New York Universal Studios building. I ran out of there and I just started bawling, crying in the bathroom. And I was like, my life is over.
And so these moments could be those moments that will bring you down and stop you from
going to the
doing
next
it again.
one. Yeah. Because you're like, why would I want to put myself in that situation? It's easier not to. It's easier to just not do it.
Yeah.
Right.
And as you say, you forget about all those amazing achievements that you have had in the past.
Yeah.
So I call it your badass list. You should always have your badass list.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
And write it down and remind yourself of all the things that you have achieved so that your confidence can stay at top.
Yeah. I love that. And look, we're human. We have good days and bad days. It was clear it was a very bad day for me, and it shouldn't dictate the rest of my life, right? We've all failed. We've all had those moments that we like cringe about, but you can't allow it to stop you because that's the number one killer is fear.
Yeah.
of dreams.
I think that's such a perfect place to leave us on today with that message.
Yeah.
Taleen, it's been amazing having you on the show.
Lisa, thank you.
Thank you so much for being so open and for sharing. Okay, if people want to get in touch with you, are you coaching in fitness?
Yes. So right now I'm not doing the one-on-one coaching, but I am doing boot camps.
Okay.
I'm working on my fitness app as well. So that should be released around the same time as the show comes out. And even though it is tailored for postpartum mothers, it's literally for anybody of any fitness level. I'm actually putting out music this year.
Yes.
I know.
Oh, we didn't even tap into that.
It'll be called Nodules and L.A. Reid. No. It's super vulnerable album. No.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the style?
I'm excited. It's pop R&B, but a little bit more dance as well.
Beautiful. I can't wait.
Yeah. So a lot of exciting things are happening.
All right. So we can go to your Instagram. Is that the best place to find you?
Yeah. My Instagram, I have all the updates and you'll see everything there.
What's the handle?
It's Taleen_Marie_.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. And anything that we've mentioned on the podcast, I'm going to put that into the show notes. You just need to go to the episode and you'll find all of the links to anything related to the show when it comes out, or at least as we have some links, we'll update it.
Lisa, you better watch the show.
Oh, I can't wait.
All right. I'm going to check. I'm going to call you after every episode and check if you've watched it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on the show.
Really appreciate it.
Congratulations, you've just finished another episode of Impact Through Voice. You're well on your way to making a positive impact in the world with your voice. If you want more, head on over to lisahugo.com/podcast for show notes and all the links that we mentioned in this episode. Until next time.